Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to 5 Minutes of Torah with the Beth Israel Rabbi. It's wonderful to be back here in Vancouver after having been traveling with my family and then just having spent the last few days at Rabbi Training Institute at the Pearlstone Retreat Center outside of Baltimore. It was really a wonderful time away, despite. And I leave that despite open because it was really despite so many different challenges that we faced. Number one, everyone in the family was ill with a stomach virus over the course of a few days. Number two, almost every step of our trip included challenges in travel. And I don't mean to complain, but of course, when we went from Vancouver to Pittsburgh, we were laid over for a night in Chicago because we missed the connection because of our plane running late from Vancouver to Chicago. And then what was supposed to be an hour and 20-minute flight from Pittsburgh to Boston ended up being 5 hours because the Boston airport was closed because of a sudden snowstorm. And then my family was delayed coming home from New Jersey to Vancouver by 4 days because of the snow cyclone bomb that occurred on the East Coast. And to make it all even worse, it was so bitterly cold that we were barely even able to go outside. For a small time, we went outside in Boston for just a few minutes, and when we were there, it was 20 below zero, and it took a half hour for our feet to warm up just from going outside for a couple minutes. And despite all of that, despite all of those challenges, we had a great time. It was wonderful seeing our family. It was great seeing old friends and reconnecting with these old friends from university and rabbinical school, some of whom I have not seen in years, and having the chance to meet their children and for our children to spend time with their children. We got to see a Broadway show in New York, and we did a lot of great activities indoors because it was too cold to be outside. Despite the challenges of the vacation, we loved it. This week, we read Parsha Vaera. We are early in the book of Exodus. And in this Parsha, God hears the cries of the Israelites. God hears the pain of the Israelites and says that I am going to take care of the situation. Sforno actually says not only does God hear the groans of the Israelites, but Sforno explains that God also hears their pain and their suffering. God hears their prayers as they call out to God and understands that the situation must be fixed. And that is because of this week's Parsha and hearing the pain that God sends Moshe in this Parsha to begin the process of taking the Israelites out of Egypt and delivering them to the land of Israel. And we know what happens after the Israelites are freed. They begin to complain. They're not happy with the fact that they have been saved from slavery. They're not happy with the fact that they've been saved from horrible conditions. And in fact, they even complain to Moses later on in the Torah, saying, please, just take us back to Egypt. Some suggest that the Israelites are acting like children, but I would suggest that the Israelites are acting like human beings. It is hard for us to recognize our blessings, especially when there are some challenges. And yet it is incredibly important for us to do so. At Rabbi Camp, I had the blessing of having an evening session, an evening study session on the concept of Hakarat HaTov, the recognition of good, which is more commonly translated as gratitude. And it was so good that I was able to do this because in just a week and a half, on not this Monday, but the following Monday, I will begin a 3-part monthly session on gratitude. And I want to encourage you to please join me on that 3-part session on gratitude, as we learn not only about the concept of gratitude, the word gratitude, but the idea of gratitude versus hakarat hatov, the Jewish concept versus the non-Jewish concept. As we study texts about gratitude, as we study the meaning of gratitude, how we express our gratitude, what is too much gratitude, what is not enough gratitude, and how our gratitude affects our very being. Please sign up for this free class. The only thing that I ask that you do is make sure to RSVP, and maybe even after taking the class, show a little bit of gratitude for having done so. Shabbat Shalom.